Thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're supposed to be having a conversation around the insecurity. We're talking about, what's it called now? Comedy. We're talking about everything. So according to Punch, at least 8 out of 398 passengers who boarded the ill-fated Kaduna-bound train from Abuja around 6 p.m. on Monday have been confirmed dead by the federal and state government, while 28 currently hospitalized and several others still unaccounted for. Now, the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwa, who confirmed the figures, also disclosed that from the manifest received from the Nigerian Railway Corporation, 398 passengers bought tickets, but 362 were validated. The security in Nigeria, or the insecurity rather in Nigeria, increases as the 2023 elections approach, and we want to know the guests we have today, his thoughts on comedy, politics, state of insecurity, and the 2023 elections. But before we bring in our guests, we'd like to have a chat first. So you can also join us, send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. I just want to hear your thoughts, Elsie and Nilola. So there was airport, then there was, what's it called, two consecutive train, attacks in Kaduna State alone. What are your thoughts? My parents live in Kaduna, so I was just speaking to my sister today. I said, do you know that currently they are landlocked because you can't go through water? Airports, Asman Air, and I think it was Arik and Asman, I heard the news this afternoon that they had cancelled indefinitely all their flights to Kaduna State.
Wow.
So train also is on halt. So tell me if anything should go wrong, and they can't even go through the Lagos-Abuja, the Abuja-Kaduna road, because that was even the reason there was a hike in the train patronage, because a lot of people stopped using the roads because of constant kidnapping that was happening on that road. So I don't know, what are your thoughts? Let me quickly hear your thoughts and I'll bring in our guest.
I think that it's sad that, for me, 2023 is around the corner and politics are still playing. There are just some things you can't see on live TV, but I got to hear some very vital information over the weekend, and it's unsettling. But we are in a country where life doesn't mean anything to the people who want to rule you or the people who are leaders of the country, and no stone will be left unturned for them to get what they want to get, regardless. So it's unfortunate, and I just want to hear. I want to see how the conversation goes this night, but like you said, I'm truly sad, I'm truly heartbroken. It's becoming clearer and clearer that we are dealing with a group of people that do not value the people they are supposed to serve. So I don't understand how you plan to serve someone who you do not value. So except we want to deceive ourselves, that's where we are right now. The events of the past 6 days, it's clear. And this is happening when there is a convention going on, right? So I'll just let our guests do the talking.
Let me hear Bilola's thoughts.
I bet a bit to differ from Elsa's view. As much as I know that election is going on, I do not think that this crisis or these issues hinges on the fact that 2023 election is around the corner. And as much as I would love to assume and agree that there's a lot of insensitivity on the part of our leaders, I do not think that it's entirely true to make that assumption.
Blanket statement.
Yes. Because when you have the privilege of meeting with people, and I do not want to sound like I'm defending our leaders. If you've ever sat with people that are in leadership and you hear their thoughts, it gives you a clarity of their state of mind. Now, as a young person who is constantly on social media, who is aware of the trending conversation on this side of the divide, what I see is a major communication gap. They think in the best of their mind, they are serving the interest of the people. With every sincerity, they would defend it. And you would see people talk about issues that is not about just paying lip service, because now it's a relaxed conversation. They're not on TV where they're trying to make an impression. They really go on to explain that they have this country's interest at heart. And then the people feel completely disenfranchised and totally disconnected from the leaders, and they constantly judge and badge the leaders. There's a huge gap for me. That's what I think the issue is. Because there's a particular event that I got exposed to that gave me a bit of clarity on the entire understanding of why we think we've been neglected and abandoned by our leaders, and what these people supposedly think, and why they think that we're nothing but young people who just throw tantrums on social media, who doesn't understand the heart of the matter, and we don't even see clarity. We just draw conclusions and we spread fake news. I believe that there's a popular Yoruba adage that talks about a limp man that is carrying a luggage. He said, your wares is tilted. He said, you're looking at the wares, you're not looking at the foundation. If the foundation be faulty, what can the righteous do? We're looking at the wares that is tilted. We're looking at the outcome and the outpour of a badly managed system. Well, I do not think it's entirely because of 2023 election that we have these ills in our society. It's just because over time there's been a lot of neglect, there's been a lot of issues that has cascaded to a level where we have this level of situation on our hands that really needs severe salvaging and consistent communication and effort on the part of our leaders. That's my own personal thought.
I mean, I agree with
Daniel
Nnwoka. See, there's something there. There's perception, there's reality.
Let me bring him. He's a stand-up comedian, political satirist on pressing issues, and also he's an actor. On if you watch the popular show on African Magic Flatmate, he's also a YouTuber. So, and he's joined us live, very cheerful and happy going. Unfortunately, we're not giving you a nice topic today.
The conversation is not very.
But thank you so much for joining us.
Angry.
Everybody's angry.
We should be. We should have holy anger well up from inside of us. That's when we start to ask questions, and that's when we can really get ahead with it.
So Daniel, let's start with insecurity, because it's crazy, and I don't even know how. First of all, when the news, especially with the recent one that just happened in Kaduna State, when it broke, how did you feel? What was your thought? How did you take it in?
Once again, thank you for having me. It was really, really pathetic, devastating. In fact, we can go on and on with the different synonyms that would go after it. But it makes you begin to wonder how bad or how worse can it get, because I mean, far back from someone like me who grew up in Port Harcourt in the heat of the militancy era at the time, it seems like this insecurity moves from one geographical spot to the other. And you would think that you had seen it all, in the times of militancy. You would think that, okay, Boko Haram, you had seen it all. You would think that with ESN and IPOB, whatever in the East, you had seen it all. And then you now get to the point where you have, this is clear terrorism, of course, where you have people storming an airport, where you have people bombing a rail line. Imagine if this was the London Underground.
Sounds like a movie.
Imagine if this was DXB or London Heathrow. It would have been a global headline. So when you now begin to wonder, how far can these people get? And the truth of the matter is, because someone had said years ago that, look, and he's even a politician, that's why I can agree with what you said a bit. He said, look, if we don't work and step up our game, these poor people will have no food to eat and they will come and eat us. So we need to ask ourselves, if they can attack an airport, if they can bomb hundreds of passengers on a train, on a rail track, one of the very few things that this administration can brag about, what makes you think they can attack a government house? That is one truth we have to tell ourselves.
Let me answer that question. Why I feel they cannot attack a government house? I want to take it back. It's not me that said it, was late Abacha that said it. That if insurgency or if insecurity lasts beyond 24 hours, the hand of the government is in it. That's why they will not come to them to attack them.
I even saw that thing again yesterday, and I'm yet to verify it. But even if that's the case, so what will you say about ISIS? What will you say about what was Osama's group? All those people, they lasted for years. Which government will you blame? Of course, there could be some acts of the deep state. No lie, there could be some acts of the deep state. There could be some, but of course, these people are not working in isolation. Somebody is definitely putting some good funding in it, And as someone who is a bit knowledgeable about what happened in the militancy era in Nigeria, that I can relate. However, government, I mean, the way it has been, society has been carved, government is at the top. Government has physical and you can even say spiritual authority to some level over what happens in society. But sometimes it's not just sincerity and you just want to do good. Sometimes you have to be intentional about certain things. We have to ask our security agencies, okay, it's not about you're buying a helicopter, you're buying, what are you doing with intelligence?
I was going to come
with local intelligence?
Absolutely. Let me take a very short break because we really short out our time. We'll just go out and we'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having an amazing chat already with Daniel Nnwoka on comedy, politics, insecurity, and the 2023 elections. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. I was going to ask about that intelligence gathering, and I'll come to LC because, you know, if we have intelligence, I know that if they are going to go and attack Asorok today, trust me,
intelligence will be there.
Before they get close by. Yes, the antennas, they are on ground. So how was it possible that, first of all, there was airport, then the train, even after they did the whatever, the suspension and all of that, the very next day, another attack again. Is it that our intelligence in this country is completely ground zero, non-existent?
I wish I had a clear answer to that, because I mean, with intelligence, the essence of intelligence is that, I mean, the way the word is, you know before it's time for you to apply it. If you're intelligent, that means you already know what to write before they present the exam. So sometimes when there's active intelligence, you won't even see any engagement. They will even arrest you while you're sleeping before you go and start gathering yourself. You know, so it's something that is worrisome. But I believe that nobody in government or in any of the security will sit down and really sleep with their two eyes closed. Because it's one thing to say, okay, pockets of kidnapping, whatever, but it's getting to a point, like you said, Kaduna is locked. You can't come in or go out. Road is blocked. Air is blocked. Rail is blocked. And they don't have seaways. So maybe only if you're a witch or a wizard that you can fly in midnight. So we should even be worried about the people in the city. Do you know if this is even a ploy by these people to lock the state, and then before you know they start coming into? So even the military should even start finding way to start mounting some kind of serious security sentry around the city or around the state as it is, because there's no room for escape. Imagine if this happened in Lagos. Lagos airport is blocked. Lagos Ibadan has been attacked, and then from all parts of all the parts you can exit Lagos, issues there. It's terrible. Imagine yourself being in a room and no way to come out. Even if you have all the food and everything, you will run mad.
You're placing the state under a siege.
Exactly. You know, so I want to believe that, because I know that our security agencies, if they want to do stuff, they do it, and they do it right. Well, sometimes there's a lot of lethargy, there's a lot of lackadaisical attitude and whatever, but I want to believe that, because we need to start anticipating the worst, sadly. Because if they can go as far as bombing a train, and this is not their first attempt,
storming an airport,
you know, look at what happened at the stadium yesterday. What stops anybody from getting funny ideas? And imagine if something happened. So everywhere seems porous, and like in terms of terrorist attack and all of that. Imagine if the blues, I mean, you know, let's not say something to preempt. Maybe their brains are empty, and then they'll hear say, it's true, we've not even thought of this one.
Their brains are not empty.
But really, our security agencies need to step up, because I mean, and nobody is safe. The Deputy Governor of Kebbi State was involved in an attack. I think I hear he's still hospitalized in this train accident. Former deputy governor of Zamfara. I hear on MD of BOI.
So that's why a lot of people are now tracing it back to politics. But let me come to Elsa. Elsie.
See, I mean, when you started speaking earlier, you said something about you agree to what Milola has said based on the fact that someone said something about if they don't take care of these poor people, they will eat them. And I guess that's based on an assumption that this bombing is being done by poor people. I'm sorry, I don't think so, right? Okay. And I'm going to take you back to her story, the What's in the News story she took, which is about people being sacked, right, for the job not being done, calling them to, making them accountable. And I just think that's where I want to look at these things from, because if I want to look at, who is responsible or who is not responsible, nah, my head is not going to be enough tonight to have that conversation. So how do we even begin to hold people responsible? Because if you're storming an airport, there's supposed to be security in an airport.
Yes.
If you're bombing a train or whatever happened on that train, there's supposed to be CCTV cameras. There's supposed to be intelligence, like you have rightly said. I mean, we're going into a mall normally, and people are constantly checking your vehicle, and to a point, and we're wondering, what are you even checking? But yes, we know you are doing your job, right? So things like this are things that should have been in place for things like this not to happen or occur. So what is even the security measure? What should we begin to expect from these governments going forward to show that, yes, they are trying to mitigate the issue on ground and ensure that it doesn't happen again? Because you're talking of airports. Yeah. We're talking of,
I mean,
where is supposed to be the safest? So what would you like to see them begin to do beyond the communication that is now like rocket science to them? Even if they're not communicating, what should they start doing?
Yeah, like, I mean, you've hit it right at the spot when you said holding people accountable. That's why you have leaders, that's why you have people manning different, organizations and whatever in society. And their work is to make sure that everything goes right in that particular sector. So anything goes wrong, you have to hold the man in charge. The Minister of Transport visited the site. And he said that, talking about surveillance equipment. No, so from what I saw from his body language, he looked frustrated. Probably, will I say maybe moved to tears or something, because his last statement was, you see, that's the problem when you want to do government with sincerity and people frustrate you, is annoying. What I probably gathered from his submission was that he must have put it before council. And the little knowledge I know about government is that even if you're a minister, whatever it is, or a commissioner, if for a state level, whatever it is you need for your ministry, the entire council approves it. So even if you're the commissioner for health and the commissioner for agri says, I don't agree with that, it may or may not fly.
So we would have saved lives if the federal government purchased a 3 billion naira security equipment.
Yeah, he said, no, the video said if they had approved. If they had approved.
Now, let me wait.
So probably, not probably, obviously there was a plan. There was something made out that look,
what kind of security equipment? 3 billion. No, it's not even about the money now. We're not talking the money. Exactly. What kind of security equipment?
He said something about sensors. Yes. The essence of that sensor is if there was anything ahead, the train will detect and probably go back or something. So you are able to see your problem ahead.
On this same train, this type of train.
This type of train is another
Do you understand? We're done. Don't put yourself in that problem. Do you understand the kind of train that we have in our country?
It's a locomotive.
Oh, you know a locomotive.
Yes. Which is even better, because if it was a high-speed train, you get what I'm saying? But I know very well that even if you go and check maybe the metro and the London Underground and all, they have those things. You understand? Well, the cost, your guess is as good as mine. So somebody who is a lot more knowledgeable in that will come and tell us if it's too high or too low. But we know for sure that there is supposed to be something like that. So if they have had, because I don't think he will come and call out the entire executive council if it was a bogus claim. You understand? So if that means that he's not even saying we are going to look for. He said we asked for approval. Probably they have said, okay, look, there's no money. We have the train. Don't worry. In Jesus' name, nothing will happen. Let's use the money and go and let's use the money and sort out some other sectors.
It goes back to when we talk about somebody's head rolling for this. Because you don't work in government, you do not understand how tight this.
Yeah. So sorry. So to finish my point in terms of head rolling, since he has already done this, I would even expect that he or someone from the president or whatever should now mention who are the people, because we don't even know if it's executive council or if it is National Assembly, maybe in appropriations or whatever, who were the people who didn't approve.
You're not supposed
and
to
then what are probably their reasons. I know, I'm just saying, because when you go on Twitter, you see a lot of irate youths. You know, in fact, somebody on Twitter will say, hey, if they didn't approve, couldn't you have just brought the money?
No, when we're having conversation, let's focus on people that know what they're talking about.
Exactly. People give information.
So clearly, I think the minister has admitted that there was something wrong. We tried to get it. unfortunately we didn't get it, and you know this has happened.
But do you see any political undertone in some of these things? Because let's move quickly to
I don't see any political undertone in
You're
this.
sure about that?
Like who in their right mind would
just
want
because we want to win an election,
sacrifice the life of
I do not think I don't know if we've really gotten to that level of wickedness.
We have passed it, Milola.
I don't share that. I don't share it.
It is possible.
Unfortunately, I don't share that.
I
don't share that sentiment, because I think
as sane thinking human beings,
let's not think
want
that.
to believe
That is not possible.
Because I don't see what you want to achieve. Is it that you want to harm people, and then people say, oh, because they are harming you, they will not vote for you, or you are spoiling a particular part of the country or something to spoil somebody's name, or make somebody look incompetent.
Generate people death as collateral damages.
But one thing I know,
does that justify?
Does
that hence justify the means?
No, but the truth is, people you can't judge
people.
People know what they are doing when they are doing what they are doing the way they are doing.
Because of the kind of mind I have, I would always give them the benefit of the doubt.
No, don't do that.
I will. Because if I ever think that we are capable of such callousness to one another, then we really don't have a country. All of us can either just move and migrate, or forget about it.
If you know what happens in those countries,
it's a global thing, my dad.
That's why this is what deep state. Isn't that what deep state?
It doesn't come to a point where we now sacrifice the lives of. Do you know that there were some prominent Nigerians on that train as well?
So that is why they say that there was a political undertone to that.
There has been cases.
Because most people, some of those people on that train, these are assumptions about delegates and all of that went for the convention, and they were on their way returning back to their other destinations. But somebody is sending a message and saying, please, there was no attack on any airport. Go and do your fact checks very well, right? Sunday there was an attack, and that's why airlines have cancelled flights to Kaduna. We can't just open our mouth and say things that we do not know.
A guard was even killed.
A guard was killed at that airport in Kaduna State. So please be guided.
When the woman tells me he's
upset. Good evening, ladies and Mr. Dan. It's really saddening that lives are lost daily in our country, and there is nothing much citizens can do. Since last year, the killings and kidnapping have increased. The painful thing is that the citizens no longer feel for lives lost. You hear things like it's only 30 or 50, it's happening in the north or southeast.
There's a justification.
So lives goes on. So we no longer behave as if we are a country. We all have to step up our game, strategize on how to have total overhaul in the ruling class. No need of recycling old leaders. I wish we can try new ones and new ideas that have empathy for citizens. Even with all these happening, those same people are only thinking of how to win 2023 elections, and may God help us and give us the courage to take the right decisions. Thank you, BC. I was going to say that in politics or in whatever game, because it's a game of numbers, let me tell you something. We're a people of 200 million people, right? That is what they say.
And
I think we're more than that, right? So if they sacrifice 1,000 people, 10,000 people, is for the good of the
greater good.
For the greater good. That's how.
No. The truth of the matter is there have been stories of where. No, listen.
Maybe I'm naive.
Listen, there have been stories of a full plane crash, commercial plane crash, just because one person needed to be taken down.
In Nigeria?
Just hear the story as it is.
In Nigeria?
Leave the location.
Leave the location.
It sounds like
a movie.
It sounds like a movie.
If you even read about some of the global events that have happened, some seemingly terrorist attacks and all of that.
There's always a lot of casualties.
You just want to take down
terrorism is something we are very conversant.
This is an act of terrorism.
Without a doubt. And we've been asking our president to declare this acts as an act of terrorism, but that's another.
No, you see, when he declares it, what will happen?
At least we have start to fight them like the enemies, not that they are hungry people. There's a bit of sentiment and justification for why there's a lot of ills in our society, and that's why they are refusing to hit them with a sledgehammer. So they look at them like people that they should be rehabilitated, people that should be empowered, and try to defend. The act.
Okay, let me come back now with the Niger Delta militancy. Okay,
you know how much they got out of government.
Started,
so send them abroad.
Yeah. Now it started first with some guys who were just local guys, will I call them bandits or something, and then they started to act like they had a legit cause. Oh, the Niger Delta, our resources, this and that. And then they started going to kidnapping, and the next thing, everywhere became almost uninhabitable. At the end of the day, the military was striking, police was striking. They were not declared terrorists. Once you're disturbing the states, and if you have a government, you know, that is really serious about it, it doesn't have to declare you this or make you that. I mean, armed robbers are not terrorists, but they are being chased every day.
They are being killed.
Exactly. So we're not talking about what the president, at this point, I'm not bothered about what the president says or doesn't say. I'm bothered about what the security agencies are doing. Not the same.
And it goes back to the conversation around whose head should roll for this. But because I know that there's a lot of connection and networking to how instructions are passed down, to who gets what approval, to what gets done, there's always going to be an issue of passing the buck.
But when the head roll, will the head that will come after that one?
Trust me, nobody's head will roll, because everybody knows that the heads that should roll are more than the heads that can roll.
Well, let's ask
ourselves. My dear sisters at Ways, let me remind us of one quote of late General Sani Abacha, and I quote, any insecurity, the one you love, that exists more than 24 hours, the government must have a hand in it. Let's tell ourselves the truth. Our leaders have failed us woefully, shamefully. All they think now is how to get power in 2023. The neglect of the security apparatus in Nigeria is in total mess. We are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. It's not a movie, for God's sake. Well done, ladies. Bobby Kennedy from Jalingo, Taraba State. Thank you.
I have a comment.
I have one, and it goes by, it says, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of Ways. Thank you. For crying out loud, what's the big deal about not qualifying for the World Cup? Is it a do-or-die affair? Is it compulsory? Is it our main problem now? Even if we do not qualify for the World Cup, is it even better or safer? Let us focus on the main problem in Nigeria and avoid being distracted by World Cup madness. I am sick and tired of these things happening in Nigeria. Sister Owa, please don't relocate. I still need you to anchor Ways. Sister Damilola, you're welcome to the show. I miss you a lot, and you look beautiful. Thank you. My name is Daniel Ilo, Ways regular fan.
Thank you,
Thank
Daniel.
you for that
We've never talked about comedy.
It's a serious matter. I want to take this quote that somebody put out. I mean, he's part of their political tool anyway, but it made sense because you keep saying, oh, there's somebody on the train that's also a politician, he affects them, somebody deputy governor in Kebbi, you know, but this is simple. It says incompetence is like a stray bullet. It can hit anyone.
Absolutely.
Even your plan might not even be to affect your offspring, your son.
Yeah.
And your
but
son
it has a way of
can be trapped in that place.
That's what karma is.
So let's just remember
karma serves
that
everybody.
is true, because if you even go into economy, and dollar was what, maybe what was dollar then, 100 and something, and now dollar is 600 and whatever. Even if
600
you are, or be 500, I don't know, I was thinking about,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but even if you are a multi-millionaire, even if you have all the money in the world,
you still
what $1,000 could have done for you
is what
how many years ago? So even you with your thousands of dollars in your pocket, you still feeling pain.
Don't remind me of my
so
pain.
nobody is isolated.
But let me just quickly pitch in this comedy part, because you know Timi Dakolo got a backlash about endorsement, political endorsement, and all of that. And this is your season. It's your season. It's the season for entertainers.
Before you even talk about your season, the guy has come back again. He says he knows about the attack and that he's from Kaduna, but the attack was 6 miles from the airport.
This guy is.
Okay.
I think.
But so there was an attack.
No, it was inside.
But
Right
there was
inside.
a
It was on the runway.
attack.
So we should not care about the 6 mile away.
So that's
So let's leave that one up,
Yeah.
because it's your season. It's a season for a lot of politicians and politicking to try to buy into the big names for,
the
for
media,
endorsements and all of that. You know, the
industry.
entertainers.
Yeah.
What would you say to your colleagues, right? You know, I mean, Timi Dakolo got a backlash for going to sing, and I totally say that I support him anywhere he's called upon to sing that song.
Yep.
As long as it's that
Powerful
song is singing,
Absolutely.
he needs to sing it. They need to hear it. So that's for me. But what's your thought on endorsements and all of that? How should what's it called? People in the comedy space, the entertainment world.
Yeah.
How should they, approach what's it called, the endorsement? How should they engage with politicians?
Yeah, for me, I would say that number one, we need to understand, when I mean we, I mean entertainers, we need to understand that we command a very heavy sphere of influence. And that is why products, brands, you know, use us to promote. Yeah, because it is believed that the people that are following us are banking on our integrity.
Absolutely.
They are trusting on our judgment. So if somebody comes and says, hey, drink this milk, drink this wine, you know, I may not know a lot about this wine, but because Dan says I should drink this wine, because Don Jazzy says I should drink this wine, I'm going to do that. Now, it is believed that for you to have engaged that brand, you probably had done your due diligence. You probably had asked relevant questions. I have no problem with endorsing candidates or whatever, but you should even take advantage of that opportunity to even play the role of agenda setting and say, okay, sir, I'll support you, but what is your plan? What is your plan? In my state, in 2015, I engaged a few candidates that I asked them, what is your plan for the entertainment industry? Because that's my area of influence and my area of passion and everything. What are the plans you have? Some didn't answer me. One or two that answered me, we developed a plan. Unfortunately, they didn't win. And going into this election, I've already received a couple of calls from some people say, oh, I know you're very passionate about the industry in this state. You want it to be independent on its own. I'm interested in running that. If I get somebody, for example, who is committed to that, then I believe in him, then I can endorse him. So guys, entertainers, which camera am I using?
This one.
Set agenda.
Set agenda. Make sure you see somebody that you believe in first. Let's not do that thing of, no, now our work will do, we'll chop the money, they go. No, please.
Yes. Thank you so much. On that note, thank you so much, Dan. We had so much fun. I hope you come back again. At least we'll come and talk the one that we can laugh. Thank you, Milola. Thank you, Elsie. We had a fantastic conversation. Now, before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. Interact with us further. Drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements online. Like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. If you missed today's quote, here it is again. An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concern to the broader concern of all humanity. That's when you start to live, when you start to think humanity. We'll see you guys live. It's our Ladies' Night Out tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.